Welcome to the channel. I'm Richard Cole. Thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you to everyone that checked out the previous video, how to make a great love symbol album. Actually going to talk about a response I got to that video. Like I said, again, thank you for your comments. Thank you for liking, subscribing. Please continue to do so. Also continue to be a Patreon supporter. And with that out of the way, let me go ahead and talk about today's topic, which is, well, why I am still excited about music I already have. Alright, and again, this comes from a person that checked out the previous video on how to make a great love symbol album. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, check that out. But it's a response that I've seen in regards to, whenever there's a Prince or new Prince project, be it a super deluxe edition, a remaster, there's generally overwhelming excitement for it, regardless of, oh, this isn't my favorite era. Sometimes you get some comments regarding that, like, they feel their era is overlooked. But also, there are listeners of Prince music, and I think this might be true of other artists as well, but a thing where, a project comes out and it's like, oh, well, I've got that album, I just want stuff from the vault. So this is, I guess, maybe one of the few times I personally have gotten a comment in regards to an episode where I touched on a particular release or pending release. And I'm going to go ahead and read the comment, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on, or my reaction to the comment. And this comes from Steve Dickens, and his comment is, I don't understand why people are excited about music we already have. Stop. Demand new, unheard, unreleased Prince music. Alright, so that's the comment. And, instead of, reacting like, oh, how could you say something like that? It's a thing like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll address this in a video. So here we are. And, it's a valid question. Music, it is subjective. There are things that I love that other people don't care about. And there are things that people love that I may not be a fan of. And that's okay. That's cool for music. It's movies, TV shows, books, comic books, everything. Everything is subjective. And it's okay to like what you like. And it's okay to not like what you don't like. That's all well and good. Sometimes when it comes to social media, or just with the technology we have today, even something is like sending a text. You don't see the person's face, you don't see their facial expressions, their body language, the tone in their voice, and sometimes things come across as like, how dare you, and sometimes we got to pull back. And the same thing with the post. So I don't think that Steve is the person that's bashing anyone for, hey, I like this record, and yes, I had it or heard it, and I'm gonna go buy it again, and I'm excited about buying it again. So I don't think it's a total put down on people that do. But I wanted to kind of maybe clear some things up, or like I said, just kind of relay my personal music experience. And I think why, me personally, there are things in my collection, it can vary. There's back when I was listening to vinyl, back when vinyl was the only medium, or the main medium, in addition to maybe cassettes and 8-tracks, when I was growing up. I had quite a bit of vinyl, but somehow like half of my vinyl collection disappeared. And while I may have had a majority of those albums on CD by the time CDs became the norm, it wasn't an overwhelming loss at the moment. But as I started getting back into vinyl, then yeah, it kind of became noticeable that, oh, wait a minute, I don't have this particular album, or I don't even have it on CD, or I've got the CD, but it's nice to have it on vinyl again, just because of the original analog tapes. It's a better listening experience than, say, CD, which was probably analog to digital. So so that's one reason why over the last 7 some odd years, I've slowly reaccumulated some things that I used to have on vinyl that I wanted to replace it, just fill that void, whether I've had it on CD or not. There was a period in my life where I had to sell off a huge chunk of my CD collection, so I had to replace those items over the years. Still, and especially something as tricky as the Prince estate. Let's use, say, Around the World in a Day, for example. Now, this is a Sony Legacy reissue because they now have the licensing to all of Prince's 80s material as well as everything past 1995. That's a deal that was made with the Prince estate. And this was something that actually I still have my original vinyl for it, but it has basically seen some better days, so maybe I might replace the vinyl at some point. But this was something that I used to have on CD, and I have it again. And not that this is remastered or anything, but it is, as far as what my ears remember about the original CD, this is a better listening experience, and that just may be due to the mastering or CD mastering standards of Sony, because they have their own process versus other types of mastering processes. I may do a video about the difference between those at some point, but but again, this is something I want it back in my collection. The classic 80s material, yeah, I got rid of all of that, and to be honest, those original CDs, most of them were pretty crappy. The sound was terrible, especially something like Sign of the Times. So I was glad to have, there it is, the remastered CD of Sign of the Times, and it came with vault tracks, a live CD, and a live Blu-ray. So that was an incentive. So Steve, yeah, I get it, where the vault items are an incentive for you to run out and get those things. But again, just based on my personal listening experience, it's just because I love the music. Here's another example of music I'm excited about that I already have. And let's see, to start off with, this is the Beatles Anniversary Edition. This was remixed by Giles Martin. Now, when this first was released, I couldn't afford this, to be honest. So what I did was I just purchased the CD. So this was a CD that I used to have, the 1987 CD version. When I first heard back in 2009 that the Beatles were remastering their entire catalog, then I became one of those that sold all of my 1987 CDs and slowly started collecting the 2009 remasters. So in addition to having a 2009 remaster, But like I said, I wanted to hear the Giles Martin remix, so I purchased this version, which is the album, and then there's a bonus disc with the demos that the Beatles recorded at George Harrison's house just prior to the start of the actual recording sessions. This was a used copy I got from Amazon, and believe me, it was much more cost effective than buying the set brand new. Now, when you buy something used, you know, there's a certain amount of risk involved. So this, believe it or not, came with 2 of disc 2, which is the second album of the White Album. It didn't have the first disc included. So what I had to do was go out and get another one of these and replace the first disc with that. So therefore I had 2, but one copy has 2 disc 2, so it's worthless. So you know that's how it goes. But yeah, but I mean, as a fan of the particular artist, whether it's Prince, whether it's the Beatles, yeah, this is, you know, music I'm excited about. Another case in point is Jimi Hendrix, Band of Gypsies. That was a CD that I've had since college, kind of later college years. And, you know, when the Hendrix family regained control of all of Jimmy's masters and they started remastering, then I bought a remastered copy of Band of Gypsies. And later there was a 2-disc live at the Fillmore East. So there were, like, to kind of give a backstory, there were 4 concerts over the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, you know, 1969 going into 1970, and they recorded all 4 of those shows. But the ones that were picked for the Band of Gypsies album, which was released in 1970, you had all this stuff that was sitting in the vault. So eventually they did release Live at the Fillmore East, which was a 2-disc set, and it had like a kind of, you know, cherry picking tracks from each of the shows, but it wasn't the complete show. Many years later, they released a disc of just the first night. I was like, cool, okay, then, you know, maybe eventually they'll release the second. But now you have something that has tracks from the Live from the Fillmore East, the Band of Gypsies, and finally they release this, which is about as near to the complete shows as possible. But again, this now has stuff from the first night that was released a few years ago. It definitely has all of the tracks from Band of Gypsies, the officially released album in 1970, and it has everything from the Live at the Fillmore East. But, you know, it was always my, you know, sort of dream to have the complete concert, and finally they did the complete concert. There may be like 5 songs that are still missing from this, but yeah, this is about as complete as possible. And actually I have an idea of what would make the perfect box set of this, but I'm going to save that for a different video. But yeah, I mean, that's just it, because it's just like, I enjoy the artist, and there are a lot of people that, for whatever reason, you know, just want remastered versions, so they'll buy it again. Sometimes people lose things, sometimes they wear out, especially vinyl, because back in the day we used to wear vinyl out, and a lot of times we didn't take care of our vinyl the way we really should have, which kind of sped up the wearing out process. But being older and wiser and hip to anti-static sleeves and cleaning the record every single time I get ready to play it, you know, putting the albums back in the sleeves. You know, I'm that person now. You know, where before, like I said, I kind of kept them neat back in the day, but especially when I was a little kid, you know, it was just like, okay, the record's just sitting right there. I'll put it back when I feel like it. But like I said, that sped up the wearing out process, and many years later, you had to go back and buy that vinyl one more time, but now taking better care of it, and got the anti-static sleeves. So, you know, like I said, things get lost, things get stolen, things get, you know, you sell off things and reacquire them. You know, there's many reasons why, but, you know, at the end of it, it's the strength of that artist's talent that keeps us coming back. You know, if it was just something like, yeah, and I get it. There's like, I think I'm at a point now. Um, I think we're at this kind of stage now. I don't think there's very much, or maybe not with Prince, because Prince, it's still kind of the beginning stages, but with a lot of legacy artists like Hendrix, I mean, they're still coming out with new stuff, but they've come out with such great stuff over the last almost 30 years now that I don't see, you know, especially with a career as finite as his, I don't see what else they could do unless they're really holding a lot of stuff back. Like they really planned this out to go, okay, well, in 2045, we're going to drop this that nobody's heard. But the downside, by 2045, a lot of the original fans won't be left. You know, it'll be kind of like my generation that was coming in and coming up in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s that were getting hip to this. You know, we'll be carrying the ball like, oh man, that was from that was an unknown track from 1969. Cool. Okay. All right. But I don't know. But I hope that kind of clears that up. And like I said, I get it. You know, if you have something and you're completely satisfied with the sound quality, you've kept your items in pristine condition, or you've taken at least good care enough to where you'll get many years of listening pleasure from it, then cool. You know, that's, you know, that'll work. You know, that's, you know, good on you. But, you know, like I said, there's a lot of us out there. Like I said, the reasons vary. Those are some of my examples of why I still get excited for stuff I already have. Oh, one last thing too. Liner notes and historical content. Sometimes when they remaster something, you get better liner notes. Now, which is why I'm hoping that, say in the case of Prince's classic material, that they'll pay better attention to the packaging. While some of the discs in this Sony Legacy reissue was an improvement on, say, the original CD or Warner Brothers CD pressings, there's still a lot left to be desired. Like, you know, this should look a lot prettier than just, okay, here it is, it's in black and white, bang, and we just printed it on. And the same thing, you know, for the liner notes. Now it's cool, this has the lyrics, but I mean, come on, this is around the world in a day. You know, and if you remember the vinyl, everything was just so colorful. You know, that, you know, this is a bit bland. So I hope that when they're just saving it for when they actually remaster these albums, that they'll do better with the liner notes. Also, you know, maybe some historical notes, some photographs from that era, from around the world in a day. You know, but that's another reason to get excited. You know, should they reissue this and it's remastered and it's repackaged? And yeah, you know, I'm going to be sitting back, just like with the rest of these, especially, you know, 1999, where this has been a joy to listen to. And that's just it. It just brings you joy. This brings me joy. So, you know, that's why I'm excited. You know, whenever an artist that I enjoy is remastering something, um, you know, and I also like to do comparisons. You know, I'll post a link to one of the examples. I've done quite a few CD vinyl comparisons, whether it's original versus a remastered, or this pressing versus that pressing. You know, and it's just because we love music. I love music. You know, and that's just what it's supposed to be. So I hope that clears that up and answers your question. Or I hope that addresses it. But again, you know, it's okay that you enjoy having, you know, the original content and that you want the unreleased stuff. Um, you know, you know, these people that run these things, you know, they try to keep all of us in mind. You know, whether it's the casual fan, the diehard fan, the music fan, maybe not just a fan of the artist, but just loves music and is a completist about everything and every artist. You know, they cover our bases, and there's something for everyone. So, you know, if you've noticed, they've had, you know, say like again with this as an example, this is the single CD, and it only comes with a bonus disc of the demos. You know, it has that as an incentive. So if you don't want all those vault tracks, then here's something. And they also have a version of this where it's just the remastered album or the remixed album. So if you just want to go run out and just buy that album, do that. You know, if you want to go out and get this and just want to hear the demos, and then if you want to go ahead and get all the vault stuff, get all of the vault stuff. You know, so there's something for everybody, and the estates, whoever they are, they know that, and they'll release something for everyone that's satisfactory to everyone. So that's it in a nutshell, folks. So again, thank you for tuning in. Again, hit the like, subscribe, become a Patreon supporter, hit the notification bell, get notified on all Amari Communications content, and I will check you out next time. But until then, create your day and create your life. Peace.